Diawl Bach, Welsh wording, Diawl Bach, Welsh words, and translated to English it means little devil. It's a fly really that's revolutionised fly fishing on some of the still water reservoirs, etc. It's a fantastic fly, a very simple fly. And in its original form, which I'm going to tie today, and after a bit of practice, it's an easy and quick fly to tie. Also, it's tied with ready available materials, and I tell you, it's a deadly catcher of trout. If you fish it, the golden rule is it must be fished slowly. And the story around our part of the world, around South Wales, is that it was invented by a man called Glyn Isaac from Pembrokeshire back in the early 50s for fishing the big and beautiful Bristol reservoirs. And I think that's probably, there's some truth in that. Also, I think he used it or recommended it for people who started to fish the big one at Port Talbot, Eglwys Nunydd Reservoir in the early 60s, and it certainly caught a lot of fish. It imitates a nymph and even gives the hare's ear and the pheasant tail a run for their money. Okay, there are so many variations of this fly and they all work, but I'm going to tie the original today. Okay, just bear with me. I'm going to use a red silk because the original had a red head. I've already waxed the silk, so I'm going to put this on. It's quite a bright red that I'm using, but I will also use some red varnish on the head. Hook I'm using is a Camazan B170 size 10, which is probably a little large, but you could use a 12 if you wish. I'm tying it on a larger hook, hoping that it'll come out better on the video, but size 10 isn't too large for this fly. Okay, now the first item is the tail, which is a red fox sort of tail. This, I've got one here from, when I say red fox, you know, a red sort of brown colour. When we talk about red in fly tying, we mean red sort of brown fox colour like this. So I just draw some down, get them lined up like this, pluck them out. Probably got enough here, but if not, I'll put some more on. Take the silk down a little bit further because this is a small piece of feather I've got. That should be okay. So there's the tail. And I'll keep that feather close to hand because I'm going to use it for the beard hackle, the throat hackle, which some people call a false hackle. Now the rib, that's the tail. Next item is the rib. And Mock Morgan, who recommends this fly, uses copper wire. And whatever Mock says is good enough for me. But I like to use a red copper wire. I've got some here which was given to me by my friend Norman West, and it seems to have a bit of, add a little bit to the fly. Personal thing, you can use copper. If you get red, I suggest you use it. The red somehow gives a little bit of attraction, but it's not mandatory to use it. Okay, I'm going to tie the rib in. Now I don't weight this fly. I don't put any lead on it, but you can, if you wish, add some weight, but I won't be doing that today. There's a copper wire tied in, which is the rib. And I'll take the silk back down. Okay, the body itself is peacock herl, natural peacock herl. I just use about 2 strands because the body on this fly should not be very bushy. In fact, it should be slim. And I can't remember who was telling me, but they even try to trim this body sometimes. Well, there's not a lot to trim with the peacock herl, but the emphasis is on a slimish sort of body. Just nip out some of this. This has become a very famous fly. It's a Welsh fly, as I've said. It's not quite as famous as our the other Welsh fly, the cochawanddi, which is well known all over the world, but this is gaining ground fast. Okay, I'm going to tie this body, and I want to show you that because I'm going to use the rib, the body will go one way and the rib the other. Now, generally speaking, you wind the body over and the rib under. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So, just to be different, or to show you a different way, I'm going to wind the body under like this. Peacock herl isn't very strong, so you go careful with it. I nipped out the ends of the herl. I don't know if you saw me do that, because the tips are often brittle. But this will be okay because the rib will strengthen it. I love peacock herl, makes a lovely body. Make that a little bit longer because there's not much goes on this fly. That'll do it there. Now I've got to tie it off. Nip off this surplus and give it a couple of winds just to tie it down. Now I'm going to rib, and because I wound the body under, I'm going to rib it over. I hope I'm not overemphasizing this, but I am aiming at newcomers and youngsters to fly tying, and my mission is to try to emphasize certain points. Okay, we're there, so I'm now going to tie it off, secure it. Now with wire, once you've given it a good few winds like this, you can waggle it, or as some of my friends say, helicopter it. Give it a waggle like that, and when it snaps, it doesn't leave a lump. I think I've got enough of the copper wire there to tie another one. Right, all that's left now is a beard hackle, and I'm going to use the fox red hackle that I had for the tail. May put a few of these on, I'm not sure until I see how it sits. But you can see this is quite a simple fly to tie, quite an easy fly to tie, and by God it's a good fly to tie. It is a classic. And if the guy from Pembrokeshire who tied it, he certainly did a good service to anglers. Now I've got to remove these stubs a bit, like this. Always be careful when you do this, you don't cut the silk. I think that's okay. Now I'm going to seal everything up and make the head. Now I said earlier this is the original version, but modern versions are tied with wing buds. They use light bright, glister. Some have quill bodies, and the olive quill body is a very good one. There's pearl ribbon, and there's holographic, and so on. And what makes it so adaptable is its simplicity. And although it was designed for still waters, it does work well on rivers. On still waters it can be fished singly or part of a team. And its versatility means it can be fished with a variety of lines. Floating, sinking, slow sinking, fast sinking, and anything in between. Okay, this is the fly finished. And I'm just going to do the whip finish. Is the head tidy enough? I think it is. Anyway, you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm now going to put on the whip finish. Imitates a nymph. And as I said, it gives the pheasant tail and the hares here a good run for their money. Really is a good fly. Not used very much on rivers, but it is very good in the river. That's the fly. You just got to varnish the head and you've got the Diawl Bach. Translated in English, it's Little Devil. I'm getting the varnish here. Just like this. Using a red silk, I could use clear varnish, but I like this bright head on it. Now that's the original and it works well, but as I said, it goes well with wing buds of jungle cock, little jungle cock cheeks or eyes, and with a quill body it works very well. That's a Diawl Bach, and I recommend it, and I hope you picked up a few tips. Thank you for watching.